I believe there are three big problems leaders face. You face them, and I face them. The faster you can narrow down your focus and understand the problems you're trying to solve, the more effective and efficient you'll be at getting the results that you want. First, ask yourself, do people want to join our company or do they want to leave it? Same thing for your team that you personally manage. Are people fighting to join your team or are more excited to leave it? Attrition, meaning people are leaving, it's also called turnover, presents so many additional challenges. There's increased cost. For example, the cost of turnover of a manager is 100 to 150% of their yearly base salary. Now, it's still 75 to 100% for a skilled hourly worker or closer to 200 for a more senior leader. There's also lost time because you have to hire their replacement. There's additional strain on the organization because they're scrambling to pick up that additional workload. And think of the impact on the culture for the employees when they keep seeing good people consistently walk out the door. Now, I believe we have a problem, but it's not just that good people are leaving, it's worse. They disengage and stay. So while there's many different reasons why people leave or they disengage, there's one common thread. And I'll explain with the story. My friend was once at a sporting event with her young son, and in the crowd she spotted her boss, and he came up and started chatting for a little bit. When he left, the son turned to my friend and said, "Hey, Mom, I know who that was. He is they." She was taken back a little bit. She didn't really know what he meant. And he said, "You know how you're always coming home frustrated at the end of the day and you say, I can't believe what they did or they are doing these different things at work. They don't know what they're talking about." He is the they you're always complaining about. Now, leaders, guess what? You are they. That's the role of a manager. You also get all the title of they anytime your employee thinks or talks about what's happening at work. Problem number one that you face as a leader is attrition and disengagement. So if they don't address it, which means if you as their manager don't address this, you're going to keep losing good talent, mentally as they check out and eventually physically as they leave. How many on your team right now are actively engaged? And what value do you think it would bring if you could change that? And it's not because you and me, we want to be bad bosses, but I found that every manager can still do and be better. Early in my career, I moved across the country to start a new company. Now, while at the same time, I was starting a new family. My wife, Brittany, she was 6 months pregnant at the time. So both mom and baby, they counted on me to support them. And I remember thinking many different restless nights, how am I going to even pay for diapers? How am I going to put food on the table? Success was no longer a want. It was now a necessity. So fortunately, after many different failing forwards that come with being an entrepreneur, our small company that consisted of just me and 3 hands-off investors, we started having success. So we decided to grow. Great news, right? Wrong. There was a big problem. Although I studied business, I even majored in leadership. As I started hiring people, I became a stressed out manager. I struggled leading people. I was a bad boss. The results that I had worked so hard to reach when it was just me, they started deteriorating when I began to build out my team. My past success came from my technical and functional skills. I knew finance or marketing or how to talk to a customer. So when it was just me, I did all the work from strategy to execution and I got the results that I wanted. But now it was all different. When I moved from an individual contributor to a manager of people, I was no longer responsible for the results I could solely produce, but I was responsible for the people who are responsible for producing those results. You switch from taking all the actions yourself to serving, coaching, developing the people who are then taking those actions. And as an individual contributor, you're measured on the results that you can produce. As a manager, you're still accountable for those results, but you're also measured on the people you develop to get those results. Problem number 2, managing people requires a different mindset and a different skill set. So in my situation, it required different muscles that I hadn't yet built. I needed new management practices and tools that most don't either properly learn about or appropriately apply. How about you? You probably started off as a great employee, as an individual contributor. Maybe you were a great engineer or some functional expert. And we thought, well, if you were so good and great at that, you'll probably be great at a bigger role. So great, in fact, that you were promoted to now manage people. But what made you great as an individual contributor will not be what makes you successful at managing people. No wonder these employees leave, or they stay and they disengage. So like me, many of these managers with good intent simply didn't know what being a great boss looked like. Yet still others knew, but didn't do. And it's not just first-time managers. These problems pop up at every level, all the way to the C-suite. Committed to find a better way, I went on a crusade to find out the best of the best on leadership. Becoming a better manager can be learned. Great managers aren't only born, they can be built.